What if I told you that one of the most powerful billionaire women in New York lost everything that truly mattered because of a broken car on a dusty road? And what if that breakdown didn't destroy her life, but led her to the only man who would ever love her for who she really was? Not for her money? Stay with me, because this story will change the way you see love, power, and destiny. Before we begin, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another emotional story that touches your heart. And comment below, do you believe true love can happen by accident? Now let's begin. Isabella Lauren was known across New York as the Ice Queen of Wall Street. At just 35 years old, she was the brilliant and feared CEO of Laurent Global Holdings, a billion-dollar empire that placed her name beside legends like Warren Buffett and Elon Musk. Business magazines praised her intelligence. Investors admired her discipline. Competitors feared her strategies. She owned a penthouse overlooking Manhattan, a private jet waiting on standby, and luxury cars that most people only saw in movies. She had power. She had influence. She had everything money could buy. But every night, she came home to silence. 5 years earlier, she had fallen deeply in love with a man named Daniel. He was charming, supportive, and patient. Or so she believed. She had trusted him with her heart. She had imagined building a future together, until one evening she discovered documents proving he was secretly negotiating company shares behind her back. He didn't want her love. He wanted her empire. That betrayal hardened her. From that day forward, Isabella trusted contracts more than people. She built emotional walls no one could climb. Meetings replaced romance. Profits replaced passion. And she convinced herself she didn't need love. One Friday afternoon, after an exhausting board meeting about a rural property acquisition in Pennsylvania, Isabella felt suffocated by glass walls and corporate pressure. Without telling her driver, she decided to drive alone. She needed space. She needed silence. As the New York skyline disappeared behind her and open land stretched endlessly ahead, something inside her felt lighter. The noise faded. The expectations faded. For the first time in years, she felt almost free. Then suddenly, her engine jerked violently. Warning lights flashed across the dashboard. The car sputtered, coughed, and rolled to a stop in the middle of a long, dusty road with nothing around but dry fields and fading sunlight. She stared at the steering wheel in disbelief. No, this can't be happening. She grabbed her phone. No signal. She stepped outside, her expensive heels sinking slightly into loose dirt. The wind brushed against her silk blouse as the sun began to set. The road stretched endlessly in both directions. No houses, no traffic, no help. For the first time in years, Isabella Lauren felt completely powerless. Minutes later, she noticed an old pickup truck approaching in the distance. It slowed and stopped behind her luxury car. A tall man stepped out. He wore worn jeans, a flannel shirt, and work boots. His hands carried traces of grease and honest labor. "You all right, ma'am?" he asked calmly. She straightened immediately. "I've called for assistance." He glanced at her phone, then at the empty road. "No signal out here." She didn't respond. "Mind if I take a look?" he asked gently. She hesitated. Isabella wasn't used to accepting help, especially not from strangers. "I'll pay you," she said automatically. He gave a small, amused smile. Didn't ask for money. That response caught her off guard. He opened the hood and began examining the engine with quiet confidence. His movements were steady, skilled, patient. He didn't try to impress her. He didn't ask questions. He just worked as the orange sky slowly darkened. Nearly an hour passed before he stepped back. "Try it now." She turned the key. The engine roared back to life smoothly. Relief washed over her. She stepped out again, reaching for her purse. "How much?" He shook his head. "Just doing what anyone should." She studied him more closely now. "Who are you?" "Ethan Cole." "And what do you do, Ethan?" "Own a small garage about 10 miles back." She looked confused. "Why help me?" He shrugged simply. "You were stranded." There was no recognition in his eyes. No calculation, no greed. He had no idea she was one of the richest women in the country. And strangely, that felt peaceful. "The road ahead gets rough at night," he added. "You might want to follow me back to town. There's a motel." Normally she would refuse. Normally she would take control. But the sky was nearly dark now, and the silence felt heavier. For once in her life, Isabella followed someone else. The town was small and quiet, glowing with warm yellow lights from a local diner and a modest motel sign. Nothing like Manhattan, nothing polished, nothing powerful, yet it felt real. Later that night, unable to sleep, she crossed the street to the diner. Ethan was there, sitting alone with a cup of coffee. He looked surprised, but not uncomfortable. "City life too quiet for you?" he teased gently. She almost smiled. They shared a booth and talked. Not about money, not about business, but about life. Ethan told her he lost his father young and took over the family garage to support his mother. He had dreams once, college, travel, but chose responsibility instead. "Never needed big things," he said. "Just honest work and peace." She listened carefully. No one spoke to her like that in New York. No one sat across from her without wanting something. For the first time in years, Isabella spoke freely. She laughed softly. She felt normal, not like a billionaire, just like a woman. The next morning, black SUVs flooded the motel parking lot. Her driver and security team had tracked her location. Men in suits addressed her as Ms. Laurent. Ethan stood across the lot, watching silently. Understanding filled his expression. She walked toward him. "I was going to tell you. You're one of them," he said quietly. "One of who?" "People who don't stay." His words hit her harder than she expected. "My world doesn't define me," she said softly. He gave a small, sad smile. "Maybe not, but it always pulls people back." She left that morning, returning to skyscrapers and boardrooms. But something had changed. Meetings felt hollow. Deals felt meaningless. Her penthouse felt colder than ever. Weeks passed. During a massive acquisition meeting worth hundreds of millions, Isabella suddenly realized she didn't care about the numbers anymore. She cared about a small-town diner, about sunset skies, about a man who fixed her car without asking for $1. She stood up mid-meeting. "Cancel the deal." Board members stared in shock as she walked out. That evening she drove back. Back to the dusty road. Back to the small town. Back to him. Ethan looked up from under a truck hood as her car pulled in. She stepped out. No arrogance. No walls. "I don't care about the difference between our worlds," she said honestly. "I care about how I feel when I'm with you." "And how's that?" he asked quietly. Human. Silence filled the garage, but this time it wasn't distance. It was the beginning. Isabella didn't give up her empire. Instead, she redefined it. She invested quietly in the town, expanded Ethan's garage into a full automotive center, supported local schools without media attention. She split her time between the city and the small town. And slowly, she learned something powerful. Money can build buildings, but love builds life. Standing once again on that same dusty road at sunset, Ethan held her hand and smiled. If your car hadn't broken down, she smiled back softly, then I might still be the richest woman in the city and the poorest in the world. Sometimes life breaks down your engine just to drive you toward your destiny. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who believes love is worth the risk.